mission statement is just something that my school or my organization or my church or my business leader, all they're doing is they put that on the wall. That's all that a mission statement is. Just let me do my job and stop talking about the mission. Mission statements are just for company retreats or organization meetings. They're not for everyday life. Maybe you didn't have those thoughts, but those were my thoughts when I was your age and when I was thinking through things even a couple years ago. What is the big deal about mission statements? Missions are these words that are like, we will do this and this and this and this, and they're hard to memorize. They're hard to live out. All of those statements that I just made that I had are very, very selfish. Because what a mission statement does is provide you direction. A mission statement honestly serves others internally, so that means your biggest customer is the people sitting around you. It's the people on your team. And it also serves the external customers. So if we're not about the mission, we're really not about serving, we're about doing, we're not about others, we're about ourselves. So what's the big picture? What are the big ideas that I want to hit on this morning? And they're on the screens. Number one, it's mission driven. That is purposely chosen, those two words. The mission drives your organization, your group, your class, your family, your church. Mission drives everything. Mission provides focus and meaning with the goal or in order to create or develop active or engaged teammates. So my mission statement should not just be something flowery. It needs to be something that will engage you and that will equip you. And then the last one is really important. It needs to be known, accepted, and lived. It's not your marketing material. Think about that. Cedarville's mission is not our marketing material. We don't put our mission statement on the next video and say, this is what we do. We just do it. Nobody cares out there what your mission statement is. That's your job. All right? So let me tell you a story. Now, this is a story that I've been telling. I probably told it 2 or 3 times last year, but I'm going to tell it a little different. As a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. Anybody else in the room wanted to be an astronaut when they were a kid? Thank you for being honest. I went to space camp. I was that nerd in high school, the 9th grade year, where I saved enough money, flew to Huntsville, Alabama by myself. My parents let me do that. They probably wouldn't let you guys do that now. But I flew to Alabama by myself and went to space camp. And I thought, man, this is what I'm going to do. Then they put me in one of those suits and submerged me in water, and I realized I was claustrophobic, and that dream just died. But the reason why I want to tell you a story about the space program is 50 years ago, July, a man landed on the moon. 50 years ago. Now think about that. 50 years ago, there wasn't a cell phone. The computer that would take to land a man on the moon wouldn't fit into stingers. But we landed a man on the moon 50 years ago. So a part of that, the Apollo program started in about 1963. I was not alive, but it was started in 1963, went to about 1973. Over 400,000 people worked on that program, and only 12 landed on the moon. I did the math. That's 0.003% of the people that were involved in the program actually landed on the moon. Just let that sink in. But it was 400,000 people that were pulling in the same direction. Their mission was to land a man on the moon. It was that simple. That was the mission of that program. $25 billion in the 1960s. Last year, NASA spent only $20 billion on the space program. So you get a kind of a glimpse of the focus that was done here. And a couple things. The mission was laid out by a president who died or was killed in 1963. President John F. Kennedy was killed in 1963. So there's the dream. The mission's gone, right? The leader's gone. Kept going. Then in the late 1960s, 3 men died on the launch pad. Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, because there was a fire in their capsule. Then we land a man on the moon in 1969. But we're not out of the woods yet. Apollo 13, first of all, why did you ever name something 13? But Apollo 13 goes to the moon, and if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. Jim Lovell, I mean, they almost died because they lost all their oxygen. But what I'm saying is you had a mission of landing a man on the moon that they knew it, they accepted it. So here's this engineer that will never be inside of a spacecraft, but he does or she does their job, and then they lived it with some men giving their lives, other men almost losing their lives. And if you think of Apollo 10, it was all up there. They were testing everything. They were around the moon. They were in the lunar lander, and they had detached from the command module, and they were only 30 miles from the surface of the moon. How would you like to have been that guy? I'm this close. This works. I can land now. But he didn't land because it was all about the mission. Do you ever ask yourself the question, or maybe you don't, but I do, what is the reason that we don't do great things today? What is the reason? Is it because we don't have more technology? I think we have more technology that happened in 1969. Is it because we don't have more money? We can see now that our economy is stronger than it's ever been. I think it's because we are people and individual focused, and we're not willing to look at the mission. And that's the problem. So, let me give you a mission-driven approach, and let me just talk to you about it real quick. It starts with awareness. Awareness is knowing it. How many education majors? So this is higher learning, okay? Bloom's taxonomy, right here in action. Awareness is the first level of education or knowledge. It is knowledge. You know it. The next one is buy-in. And that's when you start to accept it, you feel it, your heart is in it. That's a deeper level. And it goes to the final level, which is ownership, where you are just there and you are living it. I think a lot of times we try to jump to the ownership part in our jobs or in our responsibilities because we just want to do our jobs. But we haven't taken the time to know, accept, then to live. And that's what we want to do. So let's break that down a little bit. Awareness is knowing the mission. It is your job, if you are not the top leader, to seek clarity. It is my job to ensure clarity. And then also, I need to provide that clarity. So if you don't know your mission, if your org doesn't know your mission, stop for a second and get to know it. If you work for somebody else at Cedarville or even work for us and you don't know the mission, it is your responsibility. It is your job to come seek out and to learn the mission. All of you are going to have jobs in about 4 to 5 years. Your first responsibility when you go into that job, that school, that office, wherever you're working, is to learn the mission of that organization. And if they don't have one, in the interview process, that's a great question. What's your mission? Talk to me about that. And if they don't have one, here's an organization that's not trying to be consistent and be reliable. So maybe the question is it the right fit for you? So this is how do you do awareness. Buy-in. You accept the mission. So at Cedarville University, the new mission statement has 3 parts to it. It is exceptional education, intentional discipleship, and both of those are grounded in God's word. Do I accept that mission? Or do I want it to be all about activities and fun? Do I accept that mission? Do I accept the mission's authority over me? So yes, campus experience in the grand scheme of the organizational chart is down lower. I'm not a vice president. I'm not associate vice president. We're lower, but do we accept the mission? Do we accept the mission's authority? Do we see its importance? Man, when we do activities, it's all about discipleship. It's all about community. So yes, we see its importance, and do we see its value? So now you see what I've done. Now I don't just know it. I'm starting to accept it. I'm wrestling with it. This is the step that is the magic recipe for a mission statement. Do you wrestle with your mission statement? So you're on SAA. Do you wrestle with what Jeff and Ra and Mel are trying to get you to do? Do you wrestle with it? Do you understand it so that when you're at the next phase and you're at an activity in Indianapolis or Chicago or Philadelphia or wherever, you can actually do the job without Jeff, without Ra, without Mel. That's what makes us knowledge workers and not just manual workers. So ownership, live the mission. And it goes with attitude, clarity, discipline. If you work for us, you've heard those. These are like our keystones. You got to have an attitude of humility, you got to have clarity of purpose, and you got to have exceptional discipline. Attitude, you're not the main character in this story. Sorry. But you're not. I don't care if you're the CEO, you're not the main character, the customer is. I don't care if you're the dad and you're supposed to lead your family, you're not the main character. Your kids and your wife or your husband, they are the main character in this story. Clarity, mission requires this, mutual responsibility. So it's Sarah and I's job to do it together, to live this together. But it's I have to hold myself personally accountable. So mutual responsibility, personal accountability. And then discipline, just do your job. So if your job in an org is to be the president, do your job. If your job in the org is just to be a member, be happy with that. Do your job. So again, awareness, I've got to get you to know it. Buy-in, I got to get you to accept it. And the last one is ownership, where I got you to really get you to live it. So the goal with this whole thing, what we're trying to help you understand is this. Ask yourself these 4 questions. Who does the mission serve? Who does the mission serve? If you don't know your customers, you're missing the whole ball game. Now, let me go back. If you've not ever been with us, a customer is just this. Somebody who invests in you and you invest in them. It's a mutual investment. It's not about money. That's the true definition of a customer. So the one thing I want you to understand is, who is the customer? The second question, why is this mission statement even important? Why? And then number 3, what will it require of you? So if the mission statement for me says intentional discipleship, exceptional education, grounded in God's word, what does that require of me? Of me. And then the last question, how are you actually going to live it out? So when I hear the word exceptional education, how do we live that out as a group that sells coffee, that does activities? How do we live that out? Well, everything we do is co-curricular. Everything we do, we want to build on your educational experience. So why mission? Because I honestly believe mission is the secret recipe for a successful, but also a meaningful life. Now let's apply this a little deeper to our own individual lives. Somebody might tell you to write your own mission statement. Somebody told me to do that. I have nothing wrong with that, but here's how I live my life because I know who my identity is in. In the Bible, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So my job is to love God with everything that I have. But my job is also to love others, meaning that if there are people that disagree with me, I still view them as image bearers of Jesus Christ, and I love them. Even if they don't believe in Jesus, I love them because they were created by God in God's image. And then I live out Matthew 5:16, which says, let your light so shine before others so that they can see your good works. Sounds very prideful up till this point, right? But give glory so that they could give glory to your God in heaven. So I love God and I love others. Sounds like the core values all over again. And also I live my life in a way that everything I do reflects the glory of my Savior. So how do we do this? Well, Cedarville's mission, intentional discipleship, exceptional education, grounded in God's word. So how do I live that out, being in the Christian Ministries and Student Life Division? Well, our mission is to support Cedarville's mission by living out the core values, love for God, love for others, integrity and conduct, and excellence and effort. Now we go even deeper. How does our team do that? Our job is to provide the experience that lives out those core values that lives out that intentional discipleship and that exceptional education. That's all mission driven. Now, I can be removed from this equation. Say if God removed me from Cedarville, campus experience, Cedarville student life is not going to miss anything. They're going to keep going because we've been mission driven. So it's all about mission driven because it serves others internally and externally.